All right, ladies and gentlemen, got your watch list coming into September 24th, 2019, and the stock market did rip. It was just a little bit late. We're going to talk about that, but the stock market is illiquid. So I want to talk about this because a lot of people have been bringing this up with the repos and all that. We're not going to go into that as much as in depth as opposed to how we could actually play that, what to watch for to know that's having an issue, and kind of to explain what happened today and what we saw. So we were expecting the stock market to go up, and honestly that's what happened after hours. If you look at it during the hours, got to give it a better context here. Let's actually turn on the after hours. We gapped up a little in the morning, but then we saw European data come out, the German PMI. It was not good, and that kind of started to bring the markets down. Then you could see as we came to the open, we opened up down, came back up, dropped, a little bit of cuckening, went up ultimately to kind of just sell off randomly at close. And then literally a few minutes before I'm shooting this, probably like 30 minutes ago, not too long, we had an announcement from the treasurer, Mr. Mnuchin. He said that they're gonna have a meeting with Vice Premier Liu next week, and this is regarding the trade, and this shot stocks up. So we saw the rip. It looks, we ended up closing red, which had technically brought back a weird down Friday, down Monday. We talked about this on stream. The cat dog is back, and that's going to have to do with the keys. But this is what has pushed the market today and kind of negated some of that positive effect we were going to see from the drop, was that negative German data. And we're going to talk about that a little bit here, and then this meeting here. So we have a lot to go over. I want to talk about the keys for tomorrow, what to watch. We're going to talk about the liquidity, what to watch with that, the plays we made today, and then the plays for tomorrow. So I forgot to put this on the watch list yesterday, but shout out to Cole. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're here in the morning so we could go over all of this pre-market. We are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. And most importantly, you need to post your watch list below, baby. So getting right into it, we know what was happening there. Again, the market was reacting to Vice Premier. That's what caused the after hours. But what we need to watch today is the European close. So this happened today. Coming into 8:30, that's usually when it is, or 11:30 a.m. Eastern. That's what you need to be watching tomorrow too. We are going to be watching the move. Again, it's going to be hard to see what happens because at the end of the day, the volume is very, very low. We're seeing even a lower day as we saw a couple days before the Fed. These low volume environments, it's not good, and that's why it's going to be hard to say we might have a gapping up move tomorrow based on this, but I want to see what happens during in the day, but we'll see what happens regardless. But watch for the European close. But the issue with today and what we saw was that the German numbers weren't good, and usually when some of this European data has been bad, the market rallied. If you guys remember that from about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the difference was today we didn't see as much support from the European Union. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag, hence the lack of volume and then the negative effect on the market. So watch that, and then also watch the Chinese currency. So even though we're going to be having that meeting, if they did announce that meeting today, the key is to watch the Chinese yuan. I know we haven't watched Mr. Yuan in a long time, but he's been weakening all this time. It's kind of all this trade news has been priming this negative news. But now watch this tomorrow to see if this is really going to have a real effect in how the market is actually pricing in all of this stuff. But I think that's going to be very important. Then to the liquidity. Everyone's talking about these repos and everything. Here's the thing. It is an issue. It is a problem. It is going to continue here for 2 weeks. It is saying something is going on. How do we make this something actionable? The play is going to be through bonds. Watch TLT, but ultimately watch high yield and junk. If you guys want to know, here's your solid indicator. Wait till HYG and JNK crack, or if you could see any other indicator to reflect both high yield bonds or now corporate grade bonds, you could see they literally are moving in line with each other, and they look a little different there than TLT. You can see how they're kind of doing their own thing, and then JNK. So you see they've kind of inversed and done that, but you wait for those to come together, and that will tell you something. But ultimately, beyond that, this is what I'm trying to say, is that if there truly is a liquidity issue, you will see it eventually get reflected through JNK, both the high yield, the shittier debt, and then the corporate grade debt as well too. When we're looking at TLT, that's government treasuries. But if there truly is a liquidity issue, you will see that through bonds. And again, bond markets are huge, and you will also see that through TLT as well. But that is the key. A lot of people are talking about this. We could go back and forth and come up with theories and point fingers and say everything's bad, this and that. But if you don't see both gating of funds and you don't see people literally scrambling gambling and a tightening of capital. That is the only way to see that there is a liquidity issue. Yes, the Fed is stepping in, but on the reverse side, the fact that the Fed is stepping in, that reverses the whole liquidity issue. So that means there was a liquidity concern that the Fed is dealing with. Now, if the Fed fails to meet that, then you're going to start to see what I talked about, and that will be the play through there. So keep your eyes out for that. And again, I'm saying this so you guys can be objective in it. Again, if there is any other plays you could look at, if there's evidence to prove me wrong on that, feel free. But I encourage you guys to go about this in a positive manner, an educational manner, in a manner that we could ultimately profit from. But ultimately, here with the market, this is what I'm going to be looking for coming into tomorrow and even kind of the rest of the week. Watch for us still to be range bound depending on how we take that Vice Premier news tomorrow, but watch for momentum to come back. So again, we could stay in this range, but what I mean by this is watch for momentum stocks to give us that move again. Or like I was saying earlier, the cat dog, we could get some push and pull, and we're going to start to see some of those momentum stocks that sold off. Those are going to come back and give us another opportunity. So those are your keys for tomorrow, but let us get into the plays. As far as what we played, I made a few different plays today. I did a Disney here. We'll go over them here. Let's see the Robinhood. I did a lot of credit spreads. I'll start with the Disney because I like this one the most, and we're actually up on, I think, maybe 10%. Oh, no, just under. We collected $58, but I sold a 131 and a 129 put. And why I like this one, again, it's kind of affected with the Netflix and Roku, but I think Disney is more likely to stay range-bound, if anything, than those stocks. That's why I like that. But we collected $58. And if you didn't see the 11 at 11 today, I strongly suggest you go over that because we explained credit spreads, and then we made another credit spread live on there. But essentially, if you haven't even watched that, this is going to be the strategy. And again, if we do stay range bound this week, especially coming into Friday, this is going to be an optimal moment to sell premium, unless obviously volatility comes back. But I'm making sure I'm accounting for that with some of the other plays. But that play we made online today, or live on the 11 at 11, it was the AXP. I sold a 118 put, bought a 117. They had news. We'll go over that, and I'll show you that. Then I also sold a McDonald's 212 or 215 212 put. So as you're seeing here, selling Disney puts, selling McDonald's puts. By selling puts and them being credit spreads, I'm bullish on those. And again, most of them are me playing this fact that they're in a range, and McDonald's is one of those momentum stocks. It's both that momentum value that could have that bounce back. AXP had positive news, and then I sold a Shopify 270 265 debit spread. So this one we spent money to get the rights on it. This one was a bearish bet because it was a debit spread. So instead of collecting credit and hoping that that it expires worthless, I spent money hoping that it expires valuable. So taking that in here, you can see the Disney, and again, I'm expecting this to stay in the range, but I like those. I'm going to see how that plays out. We might be able to take some profits if it bounces tomorrow, and then even roll over to another one. Oh, another one too, watch Baidu. We're still in those plays. Those went up, but I even like the put spreads on this one too, because Baidu is either going to fall through the floor here, or it's going to bounce up and it's going to start cucking here. This is going to be a good one for the credit spread. I think they have some that are $1, $2 apart that are paying like $60 to $100 credit. I like that. And again, if you didn't see today's live stream, we were talking about finding a good credit relative to the collateral. So again, this is one of the ones I was hunting for. Shopify, again, if momentum doesn't pick up and this follows what Roku did, I'm kind of seeing some weakness here because this is a key level of support. That's kind of what happened with Roku, and if people are not feeling in a happy attitude towards these stocks, they're going to sell them off. So watch Shopify. That's the one we got the debit spread on. McDonald's as well. I'm pretty much hoping that it's going to bounce above 215 and kind of hit this lower end of the range and kind of get a bounce back. If it does stay here or even kind of end at the top end, that'll be good too. But we got a decent credit. I collected like $100-something on that one. So that one, I think the max loss is actually $100. So I collected $150, and that was a better one than the Disney, relatively speaking. But that one has a lower odds. That one's like 30% on the 215, 212 credit spread. So watch that one. And then AXP, they had the news that they're pretty much announcing to buy back 20% of their float, and that's why they started shooting up, and they increased their dividends. So I sold puts on it. A lot of them, you'll notice, I did next week to give myself some time here, whereas I could get credit, and if they go up 50, 60%, we could just cut them out and then go from there, or we could just hold them for another week without having to roll over. And then lastly, HD. I like just where it's at too, depending. I said I'm going to make a play on this. It offers high credit. We made a lot of money on it last week. Depending on the move it makes tomorrow, how this could play out could be very, very good. So I like Home Depot. So watch that. Moving on to here, watch Micron. They have earnings this week, and a few of the companies I'm going to bring up here, we have earnings kind of right around the corner, and you're going to start seeing some other companies start to report, or these are the companies that usually are like 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time, and Micron is one of those. So watch Micron. It's kind of an early one. They could be interesting. I know they're pricing in a 3% move, but their report is on Thursday, so it's saying now until Friday, it's pricing in 3%, so that could definitely change if it makes moves prior to that, but I think Micron could be interesting. I'm kind of on the fence of if I want to play it, but that being said, too, watch AMD. AMD started popping up, too. I forgot the reason why today, but I'm going to look at both of those. AMD could even be good for some credit spreads. Autozone is another earnings play. They're expensive, and again, I like these $1,100 bigger stocks because if you could get good, cheap options, we need to look at the options pricing, so remind me of this tomorrow, and we'll do this. But Autozone could be decent, or it could at least be a good one with the spreads, and then watch Intel in relation to both Micron and AMD, but again, how Micron reports and even the guidance, and I think guidance for any company reporting now, guidance is going to be key. Someone even brought that up with Autozone. I thought they were talking about Micron, and they were like, well, it applies to both of them. Guidance this quarter will be very, very important. Then on the total opposite end of the spectrum, watch Boeing. They did this settlement today. I mean, we could talk about the morality of it both ways. They're giving $144,000 to each of the victims. It was weird. I think that, and I want to see how the stock takes it, but they're still holding up. They're getting close to that range. They were earlier. They went up to 378, but this morning, if they broke below 374, that could send them to the lower end of stuff. But if they hold here, that could either help them get to the next leg up. But if they don't go to the next leg up, I think they could go down. Boeing's a little scary because it could just move out of nowhere, but this sort of environment could create a great opportunity for puts, for credit spreads, because you could, I mean, or even an iron condor, depending on how it moves, because one side is going to move, or it could just even stay there. So we'll see. But if anything, remind me about this tomorrow and ask me tomorrow live on stream about the iron condors, and we'll run through some on these, and we'll go through the probabilities and stuff, because I think that could somewhat be of a viable play. Moving on to these, like I said, watch JNK, watch high yield bonds, and these aren't one you're really going to play, out of nowhere. I really don't think so. Though these are just if anything crazy happens. And watch TLT, and that even reminds me, I almost forgot, SLV. Remind me to make a play on this in the morning, because remember I was telling you guys last week from the Fed, I said it's going to go banks, bonds, and then the commodities. That's what we're seeing here now. Finally, SLV starting to pop, and so did gold a little bit. If these commodities start to make a move, things are really falling in line with what we were expecting. It just feels a little different and weird. So hopefully you guys are picking up on all this. But watch out for them. Watch out for Roku. Again, now this is going to be interesting. I want to see if it's going to do 3 or 4 more days and hold up here, or if it's going to continue. That's what happened on the downward last week. It had a big drop, kind of had a weird day like this, and then another big drop. So depending on what happens tomorrow, that's going to be key, and this is either going to be a make it or break it for a lot of the premium. So we're going to see what happens there. I like Microsoft on the upside as well too. So if we do start to see it bounce, actually let's see even after hours with that Chinese news. Yeah, Microsoft's going to be good. I even want to see McDonald's. Yeah, after hours. See, we sold those puts on there, so hopefully if McDonald's gets some gas, that'll be good too. Lastly, watch TLT, and then watch the relation with Bank of America. Bank of America was down. TLT was ripping this morning. TLT ended up giving it off. While at the same time, you're seeing what's happened. They're going to inverse, and now this is part of that nature and what we want to see. This is why I'm saying watch all of these and how the bonds are moving, especially with the S&P. It is going to give us some information, but that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure you post your plays. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go, positive, respectful. You know the game. I need your head in the game. Doesn't matter if you made money, lost money. It's all about learning stuff. These are critical times here. We're going to come into some awesome months, so be smart if you haven't learned the credit spreads to keep you alive or take some lower risk but higher probabilities. Learn them now. Again, be cautious and snipe and aim and let the trades come to you. But there's going to be a lot of stuff. That's why I'm saying even liquidity or not, there could be issues. You got to know what to focus on. That's where the sniping is. You're going to get, it's war, baby. You're going to get shot at. There's going to be bullets everywhere. There's going to be a lot of loud noises. You got to focus, baby. So let's go. Oh.